There's just what's happening. Nobody's doing it, it's just energy. There's just energy in this room, in this form. Energy can take any form. The universe, motor cars, marmalade, songs, thoughts, feelings. Everything that happens, everything that seems to happen is simply pure energy. It's just energy. Aliveness, alive energy. And it has there's nothing that influences that energy. That energy is totally impersonal, without purpose or meaning. It just is energy in this form. And there's nothing that influences it. There's no apparent God or consciousness that moves that energy in a certain direction to find something or be something. It's purposeless, it's wonderfully free and boundless. It's absolutely boundless and wild and crazy. And it can be anything. It's a magician. It can be anything. And because it's completely free, it can also be bounded. It can also be contracted. So it can be whee and when that energy, that contracted energy arises, it arises in the human form, strangely. Nowhere else. Nowhere else. It arises in the human being. And when that, at a very early age, that after about a year or in that first year, there's a sudden sense of contraction and a sudden self-awareness. There's an awareness of a self suddenly. Self-consciousness arises, apparently. But it's just energy in that form, but that's what seems to happen. And when that seems to happen, there seems to be a feeling of there being someone. Suddenly, there's someone. I'm the someone. And when that identity arises, what arises with it, or grows with it as the child grows, is the beginning of a belief that somehow I am on my own. I'm a person on my own. I live in this body. I am a person in this body. And the world is happening, and it's happening to me. And what is happening is somehow separate to me. It's happening to me. I'm here, and trees and sky and my mother and my bar are happening to me. Like this. It's just what's happening. But it's happening to a person. And then what also arises with the self-identity is the story of me. Directly, that self-awareness arises in the body, that contracted energy, because all of separation comes out of that contracted energy. Directly that arises, a clock starts ticking. It's the story of me. I was born, I will live, and I will die. But somewhere that story has a purpose. I've got to make that story work. I'm going to grow up and go to school and go to work and marry or not marry, whatever. But I have the free will and choice to make that story work. That's another thing that arises with self-identity. Self-identity brings all sorts of illusions. The idea that the story is real, the idea that I am real, and the idea that I have free will and choice, that I can do something about my story. And so the child goes into an adult, and that there's more and more of a feeling of certainty. I am a person, and this is a story I can do something about. The other thing that comes with that is a sense of separation. And in that sense of separation, there's a feeling of loss. It's as though there's a sense of loss. Many people don't notice it or ignore it or put it on one side. But some people, if there's a sensitivity there, a deeper feeling, then there's a feeling that this life of separation, this experience of living in a dualistic, separate world is not satisfying, it's not fulfilling. Directly that arises, that sense of loss, out of contracted energy, then seeking happens at a deeper level. At a deeper level, people look for an answer to their sense of loss. And they go to religion, therapy, or an enlightened teacher, and go to learn about enlightenment or whatever they can, in order to find that fulfillment, in order to be fulfilled. But the thing is, they're living in a particular artificial, illusory reality called me, the reality of me. That reality is purely dualistic. So the problem with the seeker is that the seeker not only lives in dualism, but actually is that dualism. The seeker is that which is dualistic. The seeker, the separate identity, is dualism. And so it seeks in dualism for an escape from what it is. It seeks for something that's beyond dualism. It seeks for something that's beyond that sort of confrontational life it lives in, which is, in dualism, of course, there are all sorts of polarities happening, all sorts of energies, right and wrong, better and worse, success and failure, inner and outer, below, above and below. All those polarities arise in that dualistic reality, and they're uncomfortable. And so it seeks in that little wheel of reality something that's beyond that. And whatever effort it makes to find that fulfillment is wonderfully futile, because it's looking in a dualistic reality of something that's beyond that. And so what we're doing is we're sharing together the way in which the me seems to take form, the beliefs that surround that identity, and the way in which the seeker looks for some sort of fulfillment. And we're also sharing together the possibility that all of that is totally futile and illusory. And out of that unravelling of the sense of the reality of me can arise something else, another possibility, which is absolutely beyond seeking, absolutely beyond any sort of effort, absolutely beyond the idea that something needs to change or become better. Because all teaching which tries to promise fulfillment is actually about you being better, you changing, the me being more still, more loving, more open, more whatever. It's always more. It's always about a change. And it's possible that that whole idea of trying to find something in that dualistic reality can unravel. What seems to happen is that when we talk about it together and share it, something quite fixed and solid seems to soften and unravel and melt away. So we can talk about all of this, and in a sense that talking can bring a sort of a loosening of the beliefs that surround identity. But the most powerful thing here is silent, or is still. It's not about words. It's not about concepts. It's not about realizations. We're not here to realize something. We're not here to get anything. There isn't anything to get. It's possible that when you walk out of here, you will get that there's nothing to get. So that also is something else. This is a radical, rare message, hardly heard at all. There are lots of apparently non-dual teachers out there, but non-duality can't be taught. So this is not a teaching, it's a sharing of something. And energetically, that whole contracting can sort of unravel and melt into the boundlessness, which is all there is. Because what we're looking for is here right now. What the seeker's looking for isn't somewhere else. It's not somewhere else if you've meditated or self-inquired, or it's not after you've done something. It's about the collapse of the you. This is about loss. We're here to lose something. We can't lose it, but somehow it can be lost.
I have a question about this. You talked about this contracted energy, and for me it's like it can be strong, it can be weak, it can be sometimes I also have the feeling that it's kind of relative.
Relative.
Yes, so I have the feeling that do I exist or not? No, maybe I do not exist. It's
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Or the feeling, not so much you don't exist, except it's just that the feeling of me is simply another appearance of energy. It's an energy in a contraction. form. So in that sense, you can't say you don't exist, because your experience of you is that you do exist. You know, all the time that sense of me is there, it seems real. That's the dilemma for me, that it feels that it is real, so the world is real.
Yeah, but to me it does not always seem to be real.
No, it comes and goes. Yeah. Because that whole, it's only energy in a contracted form and then not, and then a contracted form and then not. So it varies in strength. It can be very strong for a while and then not. Absolutely. But there's nothing there that can do anything about it. That's just what's happening.
Yeah, this comes with this relative that I have the feeling that it's just happening.
Yeah, it's just happening and then it's not happening. But there isn't anything that can be done or needs to be done about it. Because actually, of course, that me that comes and seems strong and then doesn't seem strong is simply oneness in that form. There's nothing right or wrong with it. It's what seems to be happening. It's only the seeker that makes it wrong and then wants to do something about it. And that making it wrong gives it energy. So the seeker, or what's in there that wants to change it, is at war with it. Me is a lot of the time at war with itself. It doesn't need to be. All of that is wholeness in that form.
Conventionally, when someone makes a rather strong claim, we might challenge them by asking, what do you claim to know and why do you know that? Can you justify yourself? Can you flesh out that? I assume you would say that there's nothing to know here and there's no one that knows it. But still, I would like you to invite you who do not exist to comment on what I just said.
There is the me is the knower. As the me grows up, so it learns or is taught that knowing is power. But somewhere to know is to be in control. That's the illusion it's brought up in. When that collapses, there's nothing that knows anymore. There's nothing that has any knowledge. There's only the unknowing. But a response can come out of unknowing. If that which thinks it knows asks a question to that which is unknowing, there can still be a response. But it doesn't come out of any held knowledge. It just comes out of no thing. This is no thing in this form. This is no thing apparently responding to that which thinks it is something. But it's the something that thinks it should know, and it's the something that thinks it should be taught or understand more about its own nature and the nature of wholeness and so on. And so it comes to a meeting like this to find out what it can know or understand more clearly, only to discover that there is no one and nothing should be there.
So I assume that given the fact that this is not knowledge that is communicated here, there can be a sort of contraction, saying no, there's something wrong with that, or there can be some sort of opening and liberation that,
the me would always be the me is contraction. Yeah. When the me can never hear this message, of course, but it doesn't really hear this message. It daren't hear this message because this message is about its own absence. So it doesn't want to hear that. It turns this message into something that it thinks it would like to hear. It has a sort of selective deafness. I've known many people who've come to these meetings for many years who still don't have any real idea what it's about. I know other people who've come to me for many years and do understand very clearly what it's about, but they still only have clarity. So in the whole dualistic world that they live in, all they have is a clarity about this, and the clarity of the idea that there is no me. That still isn't liberation.
So there's an important remark there that what is communicated is not an idea either.
No, not really. It's what's communicated is a sort of deconstruction. What's going here on, as far as words are concerned, is a sort of destruction of the illusion that there is a me and that has any reality at all. Well, of course, there's something else going on here beyond that.
have a very personal question.
A personal question?
Yeah.
Are there any questions that aren't personal?
Pardon?
Are there any questions for me that aren't personal?
Before you have been able to let go your personal identity, you had, I guess you had very close relationships to other people?
I do. No, I think you're not understanding. There isn't anyone that can let go of the idea that they are a person, because all they're doing is replacing one sense of them of being a person to another sense of them not being a person. What happens when the identity takes form is that it splits into two after a few years, the higher self and the lower self. The higher self is that which it aspires to, for instance, teachings about spirituality. So the higher self would say that it now believes there is no lower self, but it's still in the dual story. But as far when the whole sense of identity collapses, there isn't anything that's left. There isn't something that knows it's at one. There isn't anything that has relationships anymore. It's total, unalloyed poverty. There's nothing left. And when there's nothing left, then there's everything. But there isn't anything that relates to that everything, because there is only that everything. There isn't something that is aware of everything. There is just everything. The whole idea of awareness, consciousness, dies with the identity, self-identity.
So there is nothing you are missing, and the people.
No problem. How can I miss anything when all there is here is everything? If there's everything is quite a lot.
I guess. I don't know.
So it's when there is no one, it's an in loveness with the floor, her hair, the curtain, and all of it is the same thing. There isn't anything that has any significance. It's simply in loveness.
And there is no difference? Is there no difference?
Well, the difference is immeasurable, but it can't be described. The difference between this thinking that that's over there as a separate thing and there's a relationship going on just collapses. There's nothing here that relates to that anymore because there is only oneness. But it can't be described, it's unknown.
Thank you.
My question, often it is said that I have to get lighter, have to get evaluated,
It's a teaching.
Get rid of thoughts and...
Get rid of thoughts, it's so sweet that. It's so ridiculous, get rid of thoughts. Have you tried that? It's like trying to see pink elephants, or not trying to see pink elephants. If I told you that you mustn't think of a pink elephant for the next 5 minutes, how do you think you'd get on? It's ridiculous. Now all of that teaching is within the dualistic reality, which is about the idea that there is someone with the choice not to think, which will then bring fulfillment for them. So you'd end up as someone who never thinks about anything. It's just pathetic.
And
something has to change or get better.
how about dropping beliefs like...
Well, do you want the list? Dropping beliefs, self-inquiry, focus your awareness, be open, be more loving, be more honest, be more courageous, be more humble. Do you want the list? I can go on forever. It's about changing, changing something in you so that you become a better person. Have you tried a lot of it?
Yeah, I tried a lot, but...
And if it doesn't work, the teacher says to you, try harder.
Yeah. I think so.
It's a dream. It's a dream. There's a dream bus that people are in. It's a bus that seems to be going somewhere, but actually it's going... Well, did you ever go to the fair when you were young? I used to get to the fair and there was a roundabout thing, bus in it, and I'd sit in the bus and steer it round like that and have a break, and I thought I was steering it, that's what you're doing. But on the bus there are also dream teachers who teach people in the dream that they can make their dream better. And sometimes there is a feeling that it is better. It can last up to 5 minutes.
Okay. And furthermore, I have the sense I have lots of fears and get angry very soon and desperate and things like this.
You're awful. You are terrible. There's no one else here. There's no one else here who has any fear or anger. You're the only one.
The point is, it seems to be so heavy.
Yes.
It apparently is heavy, and there's the belief that this has to get lighter before the icon drop off. Is this just an illusion?
Well, the basic illusion is that there is anyone sitting there with holding a microphone. That's the basic illusion. And the second one is that thing holding that microphone can actually do something. If there's no one, how can there be anything that can be done? It's a dream called I Am a Person. This is my story. It's a very popular message, because one of the things that happens when there's suddenly a contraction and it seems that something has been lost, then there's a huge feeling that grows with the child as it grows up of being inadequate, not good enough. And so any teaching which suggests that you need to change or be better is very, very powerful. It's all over the world, you know that. There are thousands of teachers teaching people that they're not good enough and they need to be better. You can ask 2 questions.
No, one is enough. For me, the funny thing is all these teachings. You had the example of the bus with the teachers in it, and but to me, the very funny thing is that this is also something that just happens.
Oh yeah, it's only oneness. It's oneness pretending to be a teacher, teaching somebody else how to find oneness.
Yeah, I also did seminars and went to therapies and stuff like that, but this also just happens. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. All we're doing here is illuminating what seems to happen to me. We're not saying it's wrong or right, but what's illuminating is that the me, because it feels inadequate, is very attracted to a teaching which tries to make it better. And what's also being illuminated here is the reality that whole teaching within the wheel of duality is completely futile.
Yeah, but it's so strange and so funny.
Yeah, well, it's a joke, yeah. This is a joke. The whole of this is just play. It's energy playing this game. And energy can take any form. It can take the form of apparently enlightened people. There's people in this room who probably think that there are people who are enlightened. There's such a thing as an enlightened person. It's part of the whole game of light and darkness.
But how is it to you? Is it
doesn't
also very funny or very strange?
Sometimes and very sad. But it isn't to me. There is a joy and a sadness about all of it. Look at everything that happens about through religion. Look at what's happening alone about religion. It's the same thing. It's not just teachers of self-inquiry. It's actually Christians, Buddhists, and all the other things that are going on in the world, which are about I'm right and you're wrong. You need to get better, otherwise I'm going to shoot you. It's sad. but it's what's happening. But it's only apparently happening, but it's not real.
I follow you when you say that there's sadness, but you can't say, can you, that, for example, patronizing religion makes you sad, because that would be dualist again.
That's what?
That would be a dualist conception of the world again, that something's making you sad. You see as an expression of sadness,
but there is sadness, and if there's a me, it makes the me sad. All there is what happens, and sadness can happen. And if there's a me, the me takes ownership of the sadness and makes it its own, and says it's sad because of something that was happening.
Yeah, well, see, I could take myself as an example, but I'm not that well known, so I will go with Donald Trump instead, since he's real and not real at the same time.
Yeah. Of course,
you could feel sadness.
There's nothing that's...
But that's it.
Sorry?
There's a feeling of sadness, but that's it.
What is it? It's just a feeling of sadness. It's neither real or unreal.
Yeah.
There isn't anything that's only real. It's
So-
just life happening. Life, all there is life happening, and in life happening there is sadness.
So this contracted identity, which thinks that Donald Trump is wrong, he's a sexist, and he should be sort of corrected politically.
No, not at all. How can it be?
No, I mean,
the whole thing here is
what
that
appear
there's
as
nothing that can be corrected. There's nothing wrong with anything. All there is life happening. It doesn't need correcting. This is not a teaching.
No, I didn't talk about the teaching, I talked about the typical approach to other individuals when feelings of sadness appear. For example, well, I don't think I'm clear enough here.
As far as this is concerned, there aren't any people here. There's no one here. There isn't anyone here, so it's not an approach to people. This isn't a teaching for people, because it's recognised here that there aren't any people, so there's nothing to teach. And there's no approach. All there are is bodies. Sometimes a body will put up its hand and claim to be a person. And then that whole construct is illuminated. But it still isn't recognised that there's a person. There's no one there talking. It's just nothing talking in that form.
But when it thinks it's something that would like to point to Donald Trump as an example and criticize him for being, for example, a sexist or the like,
If you think it's criticism,
then it is something
if you think it's criticism, that's what's happening there.
Well, what is also happening is that you don't listen at all, but you're no one. So I think that
I have been listening to you and
criticism is beside the point.
How can I respond if I don't listen? I'm listening to you. You said before that there's some approach to people, and I then responded by saying this isn't an approach to people because there isn't a person here that's recognised. The idea of a person here that I can approach is simply not relevant.
Well, that's where I started when I said that Donald Trump is real and it's not real at the same time.
Sorry?
I said when I started that he's real and not real at the very same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But sometimes it appears that we get critical. And that was what I would like to illuminate.
So the illumination is not a criticism, because there can't be anything wrong if all there is oneness. All I'm pointing out is that in the illusion of dualism, there can be a confusion and an approach that seems to think that there is a person that can actually take action to find fulfillment. That's being illuminated as illusory. It's not a criticism, just being illuminated as illusory.
Yeah.
The illusion that there is a person with free will and choice.
But what makes you sad then? If sadness appears, for example, where
Sadness.
say concerning the election of
Why is there something
president.
wrong with sadness appearing?
No, of course not. Who said that?
I don't know, you're questioning my cognition, I think.
Well, this is really simple. When we feel sad at times,
Sorry?
when we feel sad at times, it's really, really common to think that something makes us sad, and that's the dualist.
So you're
Well,
thinking,
and you said that sadness appeared for you. And that's why I asked you, for example, with reference to the presidential election in the US, whether sadness just appear or whether you were sad at Donald Trump, who essentially is real and not real at the same time. So
Okay,
I have a question to you.
So what you're talking about is two realities. One reality is a separate reality in which there is someone who feels sadness and lays claim to it. And the other reality is the natural reality in which all there is everything, and in everything there is sadness. So
That's fair enough.
Would you think it is of any help to get out of this illusion?
there's nothing to help. There's no help. So the situation for the seeker is utterly, wonderfully hopeless.
Okay, but it's still to realize that the illusion is an illusion. Something has to happen. Something
It's just
has to
another
happen,
realization.
to get out of this I illusion.
Except that that's still a concept, a belief or a realization or an understanding that the seeker is in a position it needs to get out of. That's usually based on the idea that that can happen and it can't. What's being pointed out here, what's being exposed here, is the idea that the seeker who is in the illusion of separation is that whole construct is illusory, has no power of any kind.
Okay, but to lose this concept,
But the seeker can't lose it because seeker is it. The seeker is dualism. It isn't that the seeker, identity takes form through self-consciousness and then the seeker enters something called dualism, like a big black cloud or that. It's not, dualism isn't something out there waiting for the seeker to enter it and then enveloping the seeker. So the seeker that dreams that it is separate is dualism. That's where it lives. It lives in dualism. It can only exist in the experience of a dualistic reality, which it thinks is real. That's the great dilemma. The seeker thinks, I am real, and that dualism is something that's real. So what's being illuminated here is that is an illusion, and it's an illusion from which that which is dualism can't escape. It's not a very happy message, it's a sort of hopeless, awful message. It truly is awful. It's the worst message you can hear. It's a very rare message, but it's a message which is completely of no use to any individual that's in this room, or any seeker that's in this room. This message is utterly pointless for that seeker. Being here for the seeker is utterly pointless. The only strange thing about it is that something else seems to emerge out of this. Well,
but for this immersion, it's helpful to be here?
it only seems to. It only appears to be something else, another possibility. It only appears that there's a resonance, not that the me has a resonance, but something resonates with this message. Oh, fuck. There's something else. It's interesting. Do you want a mic?
Tony, is it possible that one day there is no name, and then the other day you're something like me?
It comes and goes.
Yeah, it's a shift,
nothing can be done
There's
by nobody and nothing.
There's no one. This message isn't saying you can't do anything. It's far worse than that. It's saying that there is. It's suggesting that there is no you.
And just bodies walk around the cache.
Bodies walk around and respond or react. There's just bodies walking around.
But some teachers, gurus, however you want to call them, give you methods.
Yeah, well, that's based on the idea, on the illusion, I have to suggest, that there's someone who can make a choice about a method.
Yeah.
You can self-inquire, you can develop or focus your awareness, you can meditate, you can... Well, there's endless. That's based on the illusion that there is a choice.
Yeah.
So,
but I heard saying some that you only, if you're there, you know, however you want to call it, if there's no duality anymore, only then you see that no effort is needed. That before, you need effort. Some people say that.
so what the teaching is that if you make a lot of effort, you can come to the discovery that there isn't any.
Yeah, and then only
It's a
afterwards
great
you notice
idea.
that no effort was
It doesn't work, but you just have to try harder if it doesn't work. It's based on the illusion that you can choose to find out that there's nothing to choose.
Mm. No, I just
try to explain that because the me only lives in a dualistic reality, it can't see anything other than two. It lives in two-ness. So there's no possibility, because it can only exist in that reality, that it would see that there's only one. And anyway, when the me collapses, there isn't anything that sees that there's only one. There isn't anything that sees that there's nothing to do. There isn't anything that sees. There isn't anything that is then aware of a reality, in that sense. There isn't anything left but what there is.
I'm just
So
wondering.
liberation isn't the recognition of something, it's beyond that.
I'm just wondering why some teachers, gurus say these things, but it's just happening too.
Because
I
they
mean,
live
there's
in-
no sense at the end. I can't understand what is happening.
Because they have an investment to live completely in a dualistic world where there is self that can change its way of seeing. That's what they live in, and they're fascinated by it. And they basically see and believe something's happened to them, so they're trying to help other people.
No, for me, some of these guys
So-
are... For me, some of these guys, I feel that they're free anyway,
That's
but it seems different paths, perhaps also for some, perhaps it's even on the dual level to help people to feel at least on this level better. I don't know.
No, that's fine. And if you feel that, if that's your feeling, a very strong feeling and belief, that's what's happening. It's fine. It's not right or wrong, it's what's happening. I've noticed it happens quite a lot.
So the plane of the energy.
So the
Plane of the energy.
play of the energy.
Who's writing the play?
Who's the...
Who's doing the
There
play?
isn't no, there isn't
It
any-
just plays.
I said before, the energy is completely free and boundless and purposeless without meaning. It doesn't have anything directing it. It's not even really happening, so it's not going anywhere. It hasn't come from anywhere. It simply is what it is. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and the imagination of contraction.
When the contraction happens, then there's intention. Intention arises in the dualistic story. I intend to be better at what I do. I intend to be free from what I'm doing. I intend to be fulfilled. Whatever. Then there's intention. In that little world of dualism, intention arises. But it's out of an energy which is completely without intention, boundless and free. If it had intention, it would be limited. It would be imprisoned. It wouldn't be free.
So then how does the contraction happen? Just through
It does.
intention?
Who knows? It just does.
It
It
does.
appears to happen.
Okay.
There's no reason for it, of course, because energy is without purpose or meaning. It's just another thing that seems to happen. At the moment, only to human beings. It might happen to gorillas or cats or dogs. When it does, they'll start their own religion. And they'll get teachers who could tell them how to make their dream better.
So consciousness is an illusion.
No, it's part of the illusory dualistic story. Being conscious of is knowing. I'm conscious of sitting on this seat. The me stays separate by being conscious of sitting on the seat. Sitting on the seat is all there is. It's just all there is. It's completely free and without anything attached. It just is what is and is not. But the me keeps separate from it by knowing it's sitting on the seat, by being aware of sitting on the seat. It's one, the seeker, the one that's aware, and two, sitting on the seat. Dualism. So it lives in a dualistic world in which it knows there's a tree outside it, or it knows somebody's talking to it. But all of that is kept separate through awareness of consciousness.
So in non-dualism, consciousness is not needed.
Well, of course not.
It
collapses with the illusion of separation. So there is no knower. There's only the unknown. Which, of course, the me is really frightened of and doesn't want to know. So it goes on trying to know.
So as long as we only know the me, we just keep on...
Well, the me only is the knower. The me is the knower.
We just keep on going.
You can't do anything else, of course not.
Yeah.
You're fascinated. The me is fascinated by knowing more and more about its dream, so that it can make its dream better. It's fascinating.
So you're still fascinated?
Sorry?
So you're still fascinated by this dream?
No, there's no one here. There's nothing left.
Oh, okay.
No, the me, it's the me that is fascinated by the dream of me in the dualistic world. Better, worse, succeed, fail. That's its world.
Oh, thank you.
And you see that in every way. Like, it's not only being a better meditator or whatever you like, but being a better soldier, being more rich, being more powerful, having more lovers, whatever you like. It's all the same. What you're watching in the world is me playing its game and getting more and more pissed off that it doesn't work.
Is that the goal? Is that the goal to...
The what?
The goal.
The goal.
To kind of understand oneness, to be with oneness, to stop being fascinated by their dream. Is there even a goal? Or?
Well, that's the me thinks there's a goal. That's the problem. The me lives in dualism, so it lives in subject-object reality. I'm the subject, the seeker, and the object is the goal of enlightenment or fulfillment or whatever you like, or being rich. It's a goal I can have. By knowing and learning, I can have the goal of enlightenment. One day. Not now, but when I've tried a bit harder. Oh, and a bit harder. Oh, and a bit harder.
So it's just a me, but in the world itself there's no goal, it's just It just is.
In the natural reality, of course there isn't a goal, because everything is already fulfilled. Everything is one. Why would there be a goal? There wouldn't be anywhere to go. There isn't anywhere to go. This is it. This is it. This is unconditional love. So why would there be? Why would you go somewhere else to find a better unconditional love?
Exactly. That's why I question why we're even here. Like
Because
why?
the me is in a sense of loss. Initially, the source of all loss is contracted energy. I am in here. This is contracted energy. I am subconscious. What arises out there is a sense of loss, separation, seeking. Separation and seeking are a cause of that sense of loss. And that seeking is to seek a goal called not being separate.
Thank you.
I have a question, maybe a strange question. I recognize what's happening listening to the message is that there's a very deep attraction. At the same time, it's sometimes I get bored. So it's can you illuminate that?
Sorry?
At the same time, there's a deep attraction to this message. And on the same time, my mind is bored about this message.
Okay, so me will do anything to not hear this. And one of the ways it does it is to turn it into something boring or arrogant or there are all sorts of different ways in which the me will find to avoid listening to this message.
Yeah. That's what I was suggesting.
Oh yeah,
It's very strange.
There are many countless ways in which the me will reject this. It has to reject this because it's about the end of me. So, whatever. It's wrong. I mean, some people believe that there is a teaching or method that one could use to get somewhere. So that's another way.
Other methods are far more interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the mind adores methods. I mean, the me energy wants methods and processes. It loves the idea of a path. Because it can walk along the path, and it feels it's very worthwhile being on a path. Being on a path is a very worthwhile activity. It makes me feel good about myself.
Thank you.
Anything but my own absence.
So you said there's a separation between the me and the higher self.
No, when me grows up, there are all sorts of games it learns to play in the world. And one of the things it also takes on or adopts from other people is the sense of there being a higher self which aspires to whatever, enlightenment or whatever, being rich or being loving, being a good person, helping other people, all that stuff. It aspires to those things, and it also feels that there's another part of it that wants to remain comfortable and not do much, be lazy, lie in bed and drink gin. One of the attractions of the me and myself.
So the soul is also an illusion. The soul is a concept.
The both two things keep the me active and keep it running from one to the other and makes it feel, especially if it's in the process or on the path that the higher self is now taking over and things are going to get better.
It's the concept of the soul.
The soul.
Yeah, the soul. Is the soul a concept as well?
Soul is I think my sense is that the soul is more a Christian concept. about something in the body that is somehow related to something else called God. It's pure dualism. I have a soul, and if I develop it or aspire to it or feed it or follow a path, that soul will grow and God will love me more.
It's quite depressing though for me.
Well, yeah, it can be, although at times it can be quite elevating and fun. It's all about making me feel good. Me feels basically is at war quite a lot of the time with itself, so it feels uncomfortable, and it will latch onto anything that makes it feel better. Being rich or being enlightened or moving towards enlightenment. It's pleasing. And the harder the work, the better it feels. You know. Yeah, it's got one, it's got one.
In your book, The Open Secret, you talk about being present as a
that's a word I used many hundreds of years ago. Yeah. It really, the trouble with the idea of presence is it sort of objectifies things. Like Advaita is a word that was used to avoid objectifying the word oneness. So Advaita means not to, which is a sort of obscure reference to oneness. And it was hoped that the word Advaita would avoid objectifying oneness, but actually now the word Advaita has also been objectified. And presence is something that I used many years ago and realised was confusing because people believe that they can be in something called presence. And they can't.
It's not possible for me to be present.
Well, it isn't possible for you to do anything because you don't. There isn't anything there that can choose to be in presence or not be in presence. But the idea of presence is sort of nice. It's like there's a feeling that in the room you're in, there's something else called presence, which is going. Ooh. You're in the room and it's going. Ooh. Yeah.
So, seeking is the apparent avoidance of oneness.
Well, seeking just happens. There isn't anybody that avoids anything because there isn't anyone that chooses to do anything. But out of a contracted sense in here, an energetic contracted sense of separation arises of seeking not to be separate. But seeking and separation are just symptoms of a contracted sense, an energetic sense. So, obviously, if there's a feeling of being separate, then seeking not to be separate would arise from that.
Yeah.
But the seeking, like everything else, seeking separation, oneness, all those things, are simply an appearance. They have no foundation. But for the me thinks that those things are real. It thinks separation is real, so it thinks it can seek not to be separate.
The seeker is constructing a Fata Morgana.
Yeah, so, well, it doesn't construct it, but it lives in and experiences dualism.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It is actually a dualistic reality. Me, the seeker, the self, the seeker, is dualism.
And the closer he seems to get there, the more distant it will be.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it doesn't do that, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
The harder it struggles, the worse it gets.
Yes. Thank you.
I mean, what we're talking about here is not a thing. It's not like we're talking about presence and so on, and oneness and all those things. It isn't something else, it's this. It's what it is. It's what is. All there is in this room is what is. Sitting on the seat, hearing a voice, feeling, listening, is what is. And when you get up and walk out of here, getting up and walking out of here is what is. When you get in your car or go to your flat or open the door or go and have a beer, it's what is. So you can't ever escape from what you long for. You can't ever escape from what you seek. What you seek is constantly singing to you. It's singing a song of unconditional love in every way. It doesn't matter if it feels wrong, like an aching body or feeling tired or whatever. Anger, sadness, all those things are simply what is. That's all there is. Thank you.